This video is going to look at custom export destinations in AdapTable. What do we mean by that? So by default, AdapTable provides a number of different reports, and obviously users can provide their own reports either at design time or runtime. And those reports can go to one of four destinations: Excel, CSV, Clipboard or JSON, and AdapTable will do everything for you and it all runs straight out of the box. But sometimes you might want to send your data to different destinations, to email, to PDF, to a REST endpoint, to pretty much anywhere. And AdapTable allows you to do that through what we call custom export destinations. It's all available on our documentation site. There's a page that describes it all. And in fact, you can do it in two ways, what we call via a function and via a form. So let's start with the first one, via a function. And again, both of these are available as demos on our documentation site. So let's make this full screen and let's show the code. So in this case here, we have in export options, in the custom destinations property, which is an array of custom destinations, we've added a new destination called REST endpoint, and we've provided in the onExport function exactly what should happen when the report is run. This report context property has details of the report data, which report is run, and all the columns and cells included in the report. Now in this example here, even though we've called it REST endpoint, actually we are mainly sending a system status info message describing the report, but obviously in the real world you would send it to your destination. So now if we run the report, so let's for instance run the current data report, if we send it to REST endpoint, when I click export report, we can see that we've sent a message to a system status, and if we look at it, we can see that we exported 18 columns and 25 rows. And as I say here, we're just exporting it to system status message, but you would obviously have your own proper real world implementation of that. So that's what you do when essentially the user doesn't need to provide any other information. If all the user needs is merely to choose whichever additional destination you've provided, which in this case was REST endpoint, then you can do it using a function. But sometimes you might want the user to provide additional information. And in that case, what they need to do is they need to define an adaptable form. An adaptable form is a dynamic form which AdapTable will display based on what you might call the form metadata that you provide. So AdapTable will show the form, it will have validation if required, it will show all the different form elements that you tell it needs. And then in this case, you also need to provide an onExport, you need to provide a button click event, which essentially the on click of that button is when the actual export will take place. So again, let's open this in full screen and then you can see the code. So in this example here, we've added a destination called email. In fact, let's run it. And you can see that when we run email this time, instead of just immediately sending off the data, a form has appeared, and this form has got a drop down with a couple of different elements. It's got an input which has been pre-populated, it's got a second input, it's got a checkbox, and more importantly, you can't actually send anything, it's disabled until we add a body. So we say report run, and now you can see we're able to run it, and when we click export, the same as last time, we're just throwing it out into a system status message. And when I open the system status message, you can see these are all the columns in the report. And if you look here on the side, you can see how we did that. So again, we provided a custom destination, and again, we provided a name, email, but instead of providing merely the function which AdapTable will invoke when the export happens, here we've provided a full form. So we provide that, in fact, let me open it again so you can see as we look. So we provide the title of the form, the description, and then we provide the field. So this field here is the drop down with the email addresses. These text fields are the subject and body, And then this checkbox field is the include headers. And then we have two buttons. We have a cancel button that automatically wires up to the forms cancel event, so there's nothing to do. And then we have a second button that we provide, which we've called export. We've given it a style. You can learn much more about adaptable forms and adaptable buttons elsewhere in our documentation, because these are actually used in multiple places, not just in export. And then we've provided a disabled, so essentially we've said this button is disabled unless the validation logic passes, which in this case is the email body can't be empty. And finally, and most importantly, we've provided an implementation for the on-click of that button, where, as you can see, we just throw some data together and then we use the AdapTable API to send that out as a system status message. So there we are. That's how you can provide custom export destinations. You can either do so merely by giving the name and the on the export function, which will be invoked whenever the report is sent, or if you want your runtime users to provide extra information about what should be included and sent to the destination, then you can do that. And finally, it's also worth adding that whenever any of these custom destinations are used, we also fire events as well. So if you want to, you can listen to the event, which tells you that a custom destination has had data exported to, and then you can subscribe to that event. You can listen to it that way and handle it that way if you want to. So there we are, custom export destinations, a really easy way for developers to complement Adaptable's system destinations with their own, allowing users to send their reports, either reports they've written, reports that we've shipped, to the destinations they want. And finally, of course, we also have the ability in Adaptable for you to schedule your report. So if you want, you can schedule any report you want to any system destination. As always, thank you for watching, and if you have any questions, please get in touch, and we look forward to hearing from you.